Welcome to the Cybersecurity Matters podcast. Your hosts today are me, Matt Rose, and Harry Baldwin, two members of the cyber team here at Nuco, and we're delighted to be joined today by Marco Riccardi, founder and CEO of QuoIntelligence. Marco is a threat intelligence pioneer with a background rooted in military-grade security and deep analytical expertise. QuoIntelligence was founded to provide organizations with actionable, context-rich insights into the evolving and increasingly complex cyber threats facing the modern world. Welcome to the show, Marco, founder and CEO of QuoIntelligence.
Hey, thanks a lot for having me here, guys. Looking forward.
Fantastic. And today we'll be talking all things you, people, and the cyber threat intelligence industry. But to get us started, we always like to start with the same open question. How did you get into the threat intelligence industry in the first place?
That's a really good question because you never know exactly when everything started. So I started to be really passionate about intelligence at the very beginning. I was the first to be exposed to that during my military time. So I joined voluntarily and ended up doing psychological warfare. So psyops isn't really intelligence, but it shares a lot of commonalities between the two things. And I started to do cyber ops a lot, so IT security, cyber, and then I started to really do threat intelligence, where actually the market was being created around threat intelligence. So since the beginning, I think that even if I've been also doing it, because when I was in Spain, I was doing a lot of e-crime research, and e-crime research actually was already public threat intelligence, even it wasn't like named as such. But as the first job title I had as a threat intel was at Deutsche Bank, I think, when actually Deutsche Bank was one of the first F500 in investing in threat intelligence, and we were one of the very, very few organizations in the world to have 15 different threat analysts around the world, so 5 per region. So that's officially when my job title was started, I would say. But before, regardless of the job title, yeah, I started really to be passionate about both the intelligence discipline as such, and then about intelligence threat and cyber threat intelligence later. So yeah, it has been a while, really.
Yeah, no, interesting. And was it something that you had a passion with, like from at school? Like, was it something that your parents were passionate about, or was it something a passion you developed entirely on your own?
Good question. So of course, I mean, I had the one part of the root of my passion was of course IT. So I was lucky enough to grow up with a computer in my room. So when I was already 7 years old, I had a computer in my room. So I started to play with a computer, and yeah, ended up when I was already a teenager, I was already into hacking. But then on a parallel side, I mean, the intelligence bit was always about, I always loved all the movies about espionage, about
Yeah.
intelligence per se. So I always, one of my, best movie was Public Enemy. Do you remember, with Will Smith? And so that was I remember was a teenager. I watched that movie and said, "Wow, I want to do that, whatever it is." So
Yeah.
I started. That of course was most about surveillance, but then there was the right mix in between the intelligence and the tech and the IT tech and the hacking that was really fascinating for me. And then, of course, even later in high school, I started to grow a lot of interest on geopolitics and political sciences. And then when I really started, it's really, started to see a potential career mix. And then the opportunity I had it when I was working at the European Central Bank, so before Deutsche Bank, and actually was I was started to since I was studying myself a lot of intelligence. It's okay, you know what? Let's find a master out there just to do something. And I have a piece of paper that says that oh, I pretend to know what I know, right? So, and yeah, I found actually a very good class, master program in the States, the Utica College, and it was in
Yeah.
cyber intelligence. And that was really the right excuse, really, to merge the two things. And that was really cyber intelligence. So it was the perfect mix I was looking for. and actually the same mix that then the market was requesting, because that is exactly the years when the market was being created. There was a very famous report out there, the PT1 report from Mindiant, and it was probably the first threat intelligence report. And then there was a lot of discussion around that report in a positive, but also in a negative way, because we was lacking some like intelligence good practices, I would say. But again, that was the first one, and then basically opening the market, because everyone said, "Oh, wow, this is cool. This is something we no one ever seen." Are we talking about Chinese espionage and practical with forensic analysis? It was pretty cool stuff, and everyone recognized that it was something needed, something useful. But it was just at the very, very beginning, and that's I think where. And then I was at the right moment. So, okay, yeah, this is exactly what I want to do, what I've been studying so far for doing so, and that's basically the beginning, the real beginning.
Yeah. Very interesting. Yeah, no, that's fascinating. In your professional career, were there any particular big influences from a people perspective? Did you have a mentor that you worked closely with? What other influence did you have you had on your career so far?
Um, Definitely, I would say. I mean, my high school philosophy teacher. I had a couple of ones that really blew up my mind, basically, because I was really kind of used to work or to think about kind of scientifically. But when I started to be exposed to philosophy is really when you started to think about thinking, literally. That was then I totally fall in love with that discipline. So definitely, I would say to me it's the most undervalued one. Is the power of high school teachers that you get. Then
Yeah.
of course it was I have an older brother of 12 years older than me, and one of his friends when I was 10 years old or 8 years old, he was already a hacker. So whenever he was coming to visiting my brother, basically he was bringing me like games or hacking tools, and I was wow. So I was getting exposed to all this hacking stuff out there, and I was a kid. I was 10 years old. Imagine 10 years old already using. Okay, you guys are quite young, but it was a tool called WinNuke. You were just clicking, you putting the IP address, you were clicking, and we were literally nuking an host because it was exploiting a known vulnerability. And well, it's a long story behind that. But yeah, basically, I was nuking all the time. Of course, I was a strict kid, right? But I was just 10 years old, so I was really exposed. So this guy was Daniele, by the way, we're still in contact. Daniele Mancini was another influencer that I say, okay, I want to grow up. I mean, like doing what he does. And then of course in the army also, there are a couple of surgeons that helped me a lot, influencing also the way that you do follow a leader, basically. What the military gives you, basically. And then and of course, I mean, there are multiple colleagues that I found in my journey, so from Italy to Spain to Germany, that really gave me something, even directly or indirectly. I'm very good in learning indirectly, so especially looking at the faults of the other, so learning by mistakes. I see many mistakes around me, but not because I'm also not doing it. I'm just I'm really, even today in my own company, I only look at mistakes, like I'm obsessed at that mistakes and trying to learn from them, how to avoid them. So definitely those are influencers. Then of course there are also not influencers that directly I had the pleasure to meet, but that I learned from reading from books. I mean, one is Kahneman, the author of Thinking Fast Slow. Yeah, for me it's a masterpiece about thinking about thinking. Taleb is another writer, of the Black Swan. And so another like them. I mean, really, I learned a lot from those books. And then, of course, there are all the entrepreneurs that wrote books about entrepreneurships. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, the link between like philosophy and geopolitics and cybersecurity, like it's one that's obviously like talked about quite a lot at the moment. But out of all the guests that we speak to, I don't speak to many people that have that background and that passion for literature like that, and those kind of interests. So it's been really good to hear a bit more about that. I'm keen to, you're obviously a CEO and co-founder. I'm about to ask you what your greatest achievement is. I'd imagine it's that, but tell me about what achievement you're most proud of so far.
Well, you imagine, I mean, of course, QuoIntelligence is a little bit my baby, right? I founded the company 4 years and a half ago. I founded kind of by coincidence, I would say, without any real plan. And I had to learn very, very fast why we were, it's a typical, example. You say, startup, you start to build your tricycle, your car, while you go downhill, like a high speed. This is what basically we did. And so, of course, as it is right now, I'm very proud about the company, about the people, but every people that even they're working right now, they have been working during this journey, because sometimes, you just meet in the journey and then, you drive apart, basically. It's part of it. And I'm proud because when you read you read in Gartner, but apart from what they write in Gartner, they tell you how useful we are, how helpful we were in supporting during that incident, in predicting that incident, or we supported something I'm very proud of. And when they tell me, look, actually, with your report, with your solution, I got promoted because or they gave me more budget because I was able to bring visibility and communicate the threats to the decision making board that before I wasn't. So that's in helping people, also in getting promoted, also something really that I'm super proud of. Or even the pretty people internal in my company, see people are progressing and climbing the ladder and become from joining as maybe trainees and leading entire departments, and super proud, really.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have got a really clear mission and value and good thing you're doing for the industry and the world. So, yeah, it sounds like it's a fantastic thing to be a part of. You're as entrepreneurs go, you're a fairly young entrepreneur, right? But in that time, you've had some real success. What do you think are the themes? Maybe surrounding your approach and personality that have enabled you to be successful, in that time?
Is your question regarding entrepreneur or as an analyst?
I think both. I'd be interested in both. Maybe you could start with the entrepreneur first. That'd be great.
Okay, so I wouldn't say yet I'm successful because, maybe successful if one day, do an exit or, it's too early. Of course, I mean, I can say, okay, I get it till here, now we're going to Series A. We're quite well positioned. So, okay, I'm quite humble here. I mean, that's, they're definitely entrepreneurs that have a track record way more valid than what I have so far. But, so from my limited experience as entrepreneur and from what I've seen, definitely from my point of view, because even here there are different, school of thoughts, right? So I'm the founder, and of course coming from a technical background and really come from the industry. So I was really the buyer of my solution, basically. So, and I was the one buying the others, my competitors. So they were pitching me and they were trying to convince me to buy their solution. So, and I was using their solution. So I really knew exactly this, my ICP, right? My ideal customer profile. And I was quite technical. I have, background also. I did a little bit of software engineering. I wrote my open source tool back in the day. So I had also those skills for developing, for engineering a solution. All right. And this, of course, helped me a lot in building this solution. Now, it doesn't mean that those are the skills that guarantee success. No, because you can see also successful entrepreneurs that come into the opposite. They come from an MBA. They really know well about the business, and they rely on good engineers for developing the product. For me, I mean, the way also, even the way that I was attracting my initial key players of my team, like from Odin, from as a CTO, or Antonio as leading my COO, leading all the HR, and so on and so on and so on, or the most expert engineers that I have. It was because they were recognizing me as not as the usual, okay, no, this guy just business. I mean, they knows. I mean, as someone who technically knows, really technically, no, and no, it's not selling weaponware, no, because they knew that, I was technically legit, and those type of people, those very hardcore engineers, they would not jump on a boat just because you are a good sales pitch man, right? I mean, it's not really what they really want to stand before they leave their well-paid job with super we just jumping into such kind of activity. And yeah, I mean, even because all those people I just mentioned, you and all the core engineers, were all former colleagues. I mean, this is also what really helped a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. It's interesting. It's interesting to hear that as well. And I wanted to move on to another section, which is more focused on talent, actually. So some more specific questions, and I suppose this kind of covers the qualities required to be a successful analyst as well. But more generally, right, the CTI field demands lots and lots of skills.
Yeah.
What qualities, obvious and non-obvious, do you look at when you're looking to expand or grow your analyst and technical and engineering teams?
So there I feel more confident in selling because I have more success records as an analyst than entrepreneur.
It's too humble, too humble.
Yeah. So there, of course, scientific publication, or multiple keynote speakers. So yeah, I mean that there. Okay, there. First and foremost, even there as a CTI, it is not only. CTI is huge, right? I mean, it's a CTI department. In my department, I have people coming from operations, people coming from geopolitics, people coming from other places. CTI is also the beauty of it that you need, a little bit of multiple skills. Definitely, you do need the technical ones like IT security. So really technically, you really need to, if you want to do cyber threat intelligence, I mean, the cyber part need really to be an expert there. In fact, for there, the access barrier is a little bit high because, you just, okay, I do just a course of cybersecurity. I'm ready for threat intelligence. Not really. Maybe you can then that is the basic for who is coming already from a geopolitical background. So, okay, geopolitical background, I do some cyber, so it gives me a little bit, and then I continue to do the geopolitics part of threat intelligence, like doing, all this kind of analysis, considering geopolitical events, economic, sociology, and so on and so on. If you want to be a senior technical threat intelligence analyst, you need to really be a super expert first off, IT security, and then cyber operations, so SOC, incident response, and then okay, boom, you get there. You can enter, as I was saying, geopolitical track. You can enter from a communication part because the intelligence discipline in general, so not cyber, not CTI, but any intelligence agency. There's the cycle, you do the planification, collection, processing, analysis, production, you deliver, and eventually you get the feedback and you close the circle. So you see, in this circle, there are many, even engineering-wise, there are multiple skills, for collecting something. You really need to know how you want to collect. And engineering, or you need to engineer a solution that is capable to collect, process the data. A lot of AI nowadays is into this. Before, yesterday was machine learning, now machine learning and AI production. But then talking about reconnecting to the journalism part is the communication. I mean, communication is something I'm super passionate about because really it's the importance of communication is always under valued in threat intelligence or in any other field. But in threat intelligence, I keep saying to my analysts or whenever, I do public speaking, is you can have the best reports, in this cycle. You can have the best planning, the best collection, the best processing, the collection you could have, and, even, you are able to breach into a mobile phone of, a president of a foreign country, without being detected. You use all the AI on this earth for processing the data, the best analysts to put in and getting the ultimate assessment. But then you present with the wrong font, the wrong colors, the wrong pictures. The decision maker will look at your report and you'll say, what is shit? We are everything ugly. And then you will fail to communicate properly all the great work that everybody else has done. And that is it's a pity to say, but it's probably the most important part, is the communication, the way that you deliver. So for whoever wants to join this career, it needs to really level up, regardless even the technical analyst, whoever, to level up the communication skills, because those are really vital. So proper writing, presentation, communication needs to be rock solid there.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear, and we speak to lots of engineering and technical leaders, and they sometimes mention that analysts and engineers can sometimes not be the easiest personalities to manage. Yeah. But things like communication and soft skills are becoming more and more important. So I can totally see that. I think the CTI space and cybersecurity is one that feels like it's evolving really quickly, with new technologies, new tools. Do you expect the skills and traits that you look for in analysts today to be the same as what you might look for in 5 or 6 years' time? And what kind of changes do you expect to see?
Well, definitely AI, how people use AI. They now really must know how to use AI. They must know the opportunity that this can give you as an analyst. It really must know the limitation and also the danger of using AI. But definitely using AI needs to be like something in your daily job, because it gives you an opportunity to scale a lot what you're doing. Of course, again, you need to know the limitation. You're not using that. AI is going to replace the work of an analyst, whatever. But certain micro tasks can be replaced. We're launching now an agent, that do this, Agent Carla. This actually can support analysts or decision makers in getting the briefs of very quick news, or asking questions, getting very tailored piece of information. They can replace small tasks, but of course, again, you need to know how to use it and the limitation. This is a skill that was not there even 2-3 years ago, but it's going to be something that is going to be there. Other skills, of course, since now the barrier is much lower about coding. Now, I would also expect a journalist to do, basic coding for data processing. Why? Thanks to the AI. So AI also useful. They need to use AI also for learning to code, or to code basic script. Okay, I need to crunch some data. Okay, I'm going to fetch this data from there. Okay, let's put into database. But all of this, if you're able to use AI or tools that use AI for developing, you can do this on your own. So this is it's not like before. Before you had exactly the geopolitical experts, you have the technical experts, the journalists. So one was doing one page, then okay, I need some data. Let me ask to an engineer to collect me the data for that. Now all of this needs to. The opportunity here is you don't need 20 people anymore. You can use fewer people, but they are very good in using or AI agents for doing these micro tasks, and then eventually they have good enough overview to understand if the output is legit or it's hallucinating, or there is any other gap as well.
Out of curiosity, last one, and I'm going to hand over to Matt. I've got so many more I can ask, but I know we're limited to so much time. But the one I wanted to ask was, like, What's the best way for analysts to learn how to use AI? Is it something that they should do like practically in their own time? Is it like an educational thing? Is it, what's the best way for those kind of people to learn?
I mean, this is applies for, I think this question might apply for everything, right? Here, of course, there is some limitation. The AI is quite new, really, really new. Of course, you can find out there lot of free courses and classes. I'm a self-learner myself first. So what I would always encourage, and even here you see the analyst and the attitude of the analyst is to learn yourself. I mean, do it, use it, use the AI to be trained to use the AI, or go out. There's so much. If you are an analyst, you should one of the core skills is to research, right? That is really what the color pillar, the most important value probably it's about doing research, researching any topic, even if something you never learn about. Like, you need to estimate how many, how many females are in Texas, like this. And the way that you think, okay, how you can infer or get even close to that number. So things like this. And of course, if you need to research on AI, I mean, you should be able to, know where to use it, practical use. So that's, and of course, I mean, this is about, thinking about thinking, right? I mean, now I'm seeing just AI, but one skill that will never go away is going to be the critical thinking. I mean, that is the fundamental, will remain also for the next 5 years. That's for sure. That's because that will make really the difference between us humans and the machines. That's really the critical thinking. And it's applied for everyone from technical, normally the technical, the ones that are lacking the most, to the geopolitical journalism or whoever. It's really about, learn about thinking, learning about cognitive biases, for example, learning about how to cope with them. So that's very important.
Awesome. Brilliant. Well, I'm going to hand over to Matt now to cover our industry topic that matters. Over to you, Matt.
Thank you, Harry, and that was really, really insightful so far, Marco. But wanted to kind of look towards the kind of bigger picture of the CTI industry, especially from your kind of perspective and QuoIntelligence perspective. So really wanting to kind of dive into kind of what's happening across the threat intelligence landscape and how organizations can better prepare for what's coming in the future. So kicking off, really, I think we've mentioned AI quite a lot already so far, but would you say that or anything else maybe alongside AI is the biggest kind of opportunity for the industry currently?
So I know it's repetitive, right? We hear a lot about AI, but really for me, I'm a strong believer that actually this is a kind of inflection point. These are terminologies quite specific in the industry because it's really reshaping many things. The AI. Intel is being, I would say, reshaped. I mean, it's an opportunity for the industry to implement and make things and scale better, and also an opportunity for the buyers or the consumer to to get informed faster. Okay, of course here is always the challenge, right? I mean, it doesn't mean faster is better, right? It might, because also one of the challenges with AI is super fast, but sometimes they hallucinate. Sometimes the quality is terrible, and it might even doesn't tell you. It might be answering you quite confident in a confident way. This is what it is. You believe it, but actually it's totally wrong. I mean, that's this is something. That's why always you need to be careful. But even there, we are improving a lot. We're putting the right guardrails, and especially, I mean, the people using it, they know also. They should know what is this. But I mean, right now we have this opportunity because, again, something that is still remaining constant since since the humanity was created, is how useful is to learn to know, to be information aware, to be aware of what is going on around us, as a human, as an organization, as a countries. So it's very vital, but of course the challenge has always been about there are too much information. We don't know which is noise, what was noise, what signal, what's real information, what's fake information. Right now, we are heavily exposed to misinformation daily for multiple reasons, and not only talking about foreign misinformation, but even local misinformation, things that are reported poorly or there is agenda behind. I mean, really, these we are exposed a lot of this, and of course, you really never understand. You cannot be okay. I trust this because this is a local newspaper. It's true. No, I mean, it's we can. There's an opportunity now to do more and to be more aware that the specific newspaper is funded by a specific entity. It might be a kind of bias. Then, of course, I mean, you believe it or not, but this kind of transparency, and this is actually what the technology can support. Immediately, tell you this. Look, this is right now, as today. Hey, tell me what in the last. I need to prepare. The CEO just called me. The board just called me. I need to brief them. Tell me what was relevant in the last 4 hours for me. That's grabbing everything, relevant information. Do that, of course, with a spoiler, carefully. It's not an intelligence assessment, but summarizing what this person would have anyway done it manually. I would have gone in Google, googling something, quickly putting something together, or would have asked someone, hey, tell me do this, and then that person in a hurry would have done this. So of course, not everyone can rely on the CIA that's called, hey, we have a team of 12 people around the world in 4 hours. They have the best analysts ever. Not everyone can do afford this. But now, I mean, thanks for the technology, also is the mission of our company, right? I mean, that's the reason why I created QuoIntelligence, because all of this can be affordable not only to governments, but also to those small medium enterprises. And you can, because we can scale with the technology, we can really condense and tell, okay, this is what relevant for you. This is what needed. Is it enough? Yes. If not, okay, let's talk with an analyst. So we need some more time, but if you want, so that's the real. And of course, this also communication wise, you can communicate in any language, automatic translation. You can communicate in any product type, a video. AI voice, so even videos. I mean, we go to our LinkedIn page. We're testing some kind of anchors, live anchors. Briefing. It is an AI avatar. So all of the technology and AI can really help. Also the way that you communicate, because who tells you that people wants to only read a report? Maybe they while commuting, they just hear a podcast or just a short voice memo. Or they were just they put on their sock wall. They want to watch a live news channel, telling you what is the latest. So that's exactly where the tech can drastically help.
Fantastic. No, and it's super interesting, and I think you mentioned it in part there as well about QuoIntelligence focus on kind of blending the technical and also the contextual in the kind of insight of geopolitical events. I'm really curious to kind of hear what you think is so vital in terms of the cyber threat landscape about tying both the contextual and the technical aspects of cyber solutions.
It's in the end, that's also the reason since day one, QuoIntelligence was also including geopolitics analysis, because okay, the intelligence, you need to predict the next threat, right? I mean, this is about prediction. So it's not about reaction, it's prediction. So you need to guess and to assess what's the likely consequences, the likely scenarios are, the likely consequences could be. Now, of course, whenever you do this, for a cyber attack, cyber attacks, vast majority of them, very vast, if not almost the totality of them, are driven by human. It's a human who hacks something, who put in place specific action to then harm you. And humans are basically influenced by many factors. Are influenced politically, from a social point of view, from an economic point of view. And of course, if you want to predict the behavior of someone, you need to understand the context of this person. if it's a person, if it's an organization, if it's a company, if it's a state. And then, of course, again, I'm not reinventing the wheel here. It's not that, oh, yeah, wow, Marco, it's no, this is actually what everyone has been doing before in criminal science, in intelligence analysis. And of course, you want to do this in predicting the cyber attack. It's the same. I mean, you just, okay, let's see, remember, I mean, it's not that are like random, no, are moved by individuals, by humans. Those humans, behave in certain way because of certain factor. So let's go and what are those factors that can influence those people? And then, of course, is where you start to talk about geopolitics. You start to talk about regulations as well. I mean, we do cover also the regulation ecosystem. Why? Because those are a huge driving force influencing threat actors and influencing companies, right? In Europe, in EU now we have the NIS2, we have the DORA. So our own influence are really pushing our companies in investing more, even in threat intelligence. So those are all things that influence, but in the same way also influence threat actors, because in this way they know what are the shifting priorities for those people. They know that if they breach someone, that company has a certain limited time to report. Otherwise, it's going to get fined, and that fine can be a lot. So the threat actor is leveraging this, is exploiting this to just, we ransomware or putting this kind of pressure because, hey, look, I breached you. I'm going to tell, if you don't pay, I'm going to tell everyone. Well, do you really are you sure? Because, then, you need to report. You should have reported this like 2 hours ago. Of course, you see, I mean, there are all those kind of things. And this is just for regulation. But then, of course, you want to start about, all the economic crime, all the e-crime, also the state-sponsored attacks. Even that, I mean, it's, the typical example, very short, the Russian activism, right? So Russian activism is historically one of the most known and the most active, the most sophisticated. There is all various reasoning behind that. But they're very, one common factor of that ecosystem is that they're very, they very feel a lot Russians, or they're very tied to they're very patriotic. Of course, I mean, if someone harms or try to harm the publicly, the Russian as a state, as a community, so immediately they're going to react and going to attack those entities. So imagine if tomorrow a huge organization goes on public press trying to, okay, now we decided we're going to remove all our offices from Russia or whatever. Obviously, the first immediate attack is going to be from activists and going to attack. How they're going to attack? Okay, what are the most common tools that activism uses, like DDoS? So of course you need to expect a huge DDoS coming to you. If you are not prepared to this, then you cannot say, Russia is attacking me, the Kremlin. No, but actually this is the basics that you need to understand, that those DDoS, or you say, DDoS is impossible to predict. No, that's not true, because those are humans. And there are multiple cases when you see all this domino effect. We call domino effect this kind of, or trails that, okay, something happened geopolitically, then, they had those threat actor group or that's attacked with this way. So by learning all these patterns, then you can better predict. And that's why really it is crucial. It's in the end, often it's humans, and humans are, they are influenced by all the context.
Yeah. And I think that's super interesting in terms of kind of the prediction and being kind of one step ahead, especially of that kind of context that you're discussing. I think previously it has been mentioned that companies that use threat intel sometimes have found it quite difficult to make their insights actionable. Why do you think that happens, and what would you suggest that they could change to make insights gained from threat intelligence more actionable?
So, I mean, certainly, of course, I mean, there are threat intel companies that they don't give actionable intelligence, right? But before, discussing them, because everyone, what I want to actually want to defend all of them, or if not all of us, that sometimes also on the user base, on the customer side. An intelligence is actionable first and foremost if it's quite clear what are the intelligence requirements. So if the client or the user fails in communicating what are the priorities, what are really the intelligence requirements, then it's hard to deliver actionable intelligence. So sometimes it's also, if not often, it's also about, the client per se not able to explain what they really care. And of course, even here is where the threat intelligence partner, company or whoever should help in this process, because they don't know, they really don't know what intelligence is. They don't know, the terminology of intelligence requirement, probably they never heard this. So they expect, like a tool, they click in the magic, boom, okay, this is actionable intelligence. But no, it cannot be, you cannot get to this assessment if you don't have defined a clear set of intelligence requirements, and then you can map, okay, I gave you this information, it's crossing with these intelligence requirements. Those was useful. So it's every company delivers actionable intelligence, but in the same thing can also deliver non-actionable intelligence. Even ourselves, I can tell even my company can deliver non-actionable intelligence, because if we're not clear exactly what to send to the customers, we have no clue. Okay, we send what we have, and then they eventually say, okay, no, this is not actionable. And then it's where, we have a great customer success, a great analyst team, and then sit with the clients regularly, because this is also another important thing. The intelligence is a recurrent process. Today you have a certain intelligence requirement. In 2 weeks can change. In 3 months will likely change. In 1 year we probably change. So some of them might be the same, but again, all the less. And then not only in one organization, if you talk to a specific team, they can have a specific requirement. If they speak to another team, they have a totally different set of requirements. And even you see, even laterally, but also vertically, because if you're talking to the board will not care about sending you, oh, look, we found 3 new IPs of this VPN. A board level, it doesn't even know any of those words I just said. But in the same way, if you go to an analyst, a SOC analyst, they say, hey, careful, because, the country X has just removed the embassy from company Y, and, probably it's going to be economic sanction, it's going to impact on the GDP. Yeah, the SOC analyst is going to say, okay, but yeah, give me my IP list, right? So that's exactly about actionable. Yeah, both the industry and the clients needs to speak better. And to benefit from each other, because in the end it must be a win-win. Absolutely.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Marco. I really appreciate the kind of thoughtful perspective that you brought to the conversation. I think it's really interesting to hear QuoIntelligence's unique kind of position within the industry, and really all of your insights shared about the future of the threat intelligence industry too. It's time for one final question, Marco, and our final question on every podcast is always the same. What one piece of advice would you give to someone entering the industry as of now?
I would strongly encourage, again, I'm back in there, from learning about thinking, because that's I found myself, as we discussed before, I have quite a wide experience, not on technical but also in other disciplines. Technical you can learn easily. Okay, it's tough, of course, it requires time, it requires a lot of practice. But again, thinking about thinking, it's not easy. Really, for example, the Kahneman's book, Thinking Fast and Slow. It's a book you just don't read, overnight. It's not that type of book. It's a book that you read 5 pages, you stop, you start to think, and you say, okay, whoa, and then eventually, it takes like 1 week to move faster. Even if you finish the book, then you start, okay, let me go down, let me go back. So, there is this part of critical thinking. It's very important in this industry, because it's also the kind of skill that will allow you to shine. Because okay, you go to an interview, say, tell me about APT1. Well, you tell everything. Tell me about doing pivoting, or on all these tools using. Okay, you do like everybody else. But then if you give those kind of critical insights of those kind of the way that you structure also your investigation process, and then you start to talk about also the cognitive bias, or you show that you are aware of cognitive biases when you communicate, or even when you collect data, because even there is a lot of availability bias, right? Because it means that you only collect the data that are available around you. So if you don't know about this, and someone on the other side that knows this would immediately recognize that, okay, you make just an assessment, but hey, you realize that you're just thinking about how you see the world. I mean, what's those evidence for things that you were around you, that are available to you? What about the things that you are not aware? So this, for example, us also in our interviewing process, I mean, we also look at this because, of course, technical is important and learn. Communication is important, can be learned, can be practiced a lot, but no one really, explain you about how important it is. Read this book, try to understand them, read about those books. Then ultimately also will expose you to statistics. Especially if you read all the Taleb's books, statistics, the power of statistics, how important is statistics. If you read about forecasting in general, not forecasting trading talents, but books about forecasting, you really again see how important is statistics. If you get solid there, then everything else is going to be much easier, much easier. I guarantee.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Marco. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the podcast, and looking forward to speaking soon.
Really appreciate you guys.
Thanks, Marco.
Thanks a lot.